Please be seated. Defense, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Careful.
This is absolutely 100% a case of self-defense. On April 25th, 2014, Armando Baptista is sitting in the passenger seat of a car, waiting at a stop sign, having no idea that he's about to experience the most terrifying moments of his life. Within a matter of seconds, his door flies open. A stranger is pummeling him. He's trapped. That stranger, beer bottle in hand, smacks him over the head. Once, twice, the bottle breaks. Armando is sitting there, trying to comprehend what's going on. He grabs the attacker's arm. He's pushing back. He's fighting back. And the stranger is on top of him. A 6'2", 228-pound man is on top of him. And Armando reacts. He does the only thing that he can think of, and he pulls out a pocket knife that he carries for work, and he defends himself. He defends himself in the only way that he knows how. This is a case of self-defense. Now, let me take you back a little bit to earlier in the day. Armando and his friend Demetrius are going to a party to meet up with Armando's brother-in-law. Armando kisses his wife and kids goodbye. They get in the car. They travel from his home in Hollywood to the party in Miramar. When they arrive at the party, they socialize a bit with Armando's brother-in-law. They haven't seen him in a while. At some point, Mr. Knight arrives at that party. And Armando and Demetrius don't know Mr. Knight. They don't know him at all. And there's this awkward moment where Mr. Knight comes up to Armando and asks him his name. But Armando has no idea who this person is. Eventually, Demetrius tells Armando, it's time to go. And the two get in their car, and they make their way unknowingly to that fateful stop sign. What Armando and Demetrius don't know is that immediately after they leave, Mr. Knight gets in the car with his girlfriend Wendy, and they follow them up to that stop sign. Now, the state wants you to believe that Armando got out of the car and confronted Mr. Knight. But that's not true. He never got out of that car. Mr. Knight when Mr. Knight is at the stop sign, he reaches over, he honks the horn. Mr. Knight gets out of the car. Mr. Knight approaches the passenger side door of the car in front of him. Armando never got out of that car. Opens the door, and he gets on top of Armando, pummeling him with a beer bottle. You're going to hear that in Florida, a person has a right to defend themselves if they are in a place that they have a right to be, and they are in a reasonable fear of being killed, of suffering great bodily harm, or of being the victim of a forcible felony. Armando Baptista was in fear. He feared for his safety. He feared he was going to die. Now, Armando has no idea why Mr. Knight came up to the car and did this. You're going to hear some evidence that Mr. Knight had a reason to hold a grudge against Armando. And this incident may have been a result of that grudge. Armando is sitting in the passenger seat of a car, waiting at a stop sign, when his door is opened and he is attacked by a stranger with a beer bottle. The only reason that Armando took out that knife is to defend himself. He defended himself in the only way that he could. Now, the state has the burden of proof in this case. And the overwhelming question that you're going to have to ask yourself at the end of this trial is whether the state has proven beyond all reasonable doubt that Armando Baptista was not defending himself. They will not be able to do that because he absolutely 100% was defending himself. At the end of this case, we're going to ask you to go back into that jury room to examine all of the evidence in this case and find Armando Baptista was defending himself and he is not guilty. Thank you.